Hey, Hisoka here again. I've decided that a full in-depth analysis of what Bippa has done from BM1 to present day was necessary, as when he released his goodbye video, there were still many people in the comments that were refusing to believe the results of the investigation. So there are going to be some main points I'm going to be covering in this video. 1. Why was Bippa not banned for the multitude of other things he had done previously? 1.5. How was Bippa able to convince relevant parties of his own credibility? 2. How did Bippa gain his array of unwavering supporters? And 3. The steps I took fully revealed to cause him to begin slipping in the last 2 weeks. Do you know the proverb, he may look like an idiot, he may sound like an idiot, but don't let that fool you. He really is an idiot? That proverb wasn't true here. So, first of all, Bippa was not only a pedophile, he had two sides to him. One was the side that you saw in all of his videos, the caricature he used for his voice chats, hangouts, etc. This was portrayed as an aloof yet passionate persona, an alluring one to the type of audience that he was seeking to fit in with. Now, in BM1, after I went inactive, there was nobody around to check power grabs like this I'm about to describe. As a matter of fact, there was even a Discord that Bippa managed to get into called the BM1 Intelligence Discord. Here is where Bippa found his first leverages within the community, footholds, so to speak. A partner in this recent investigation regarding Bipazod, Fenrave, was an aspiring HR for Black Magic 1 at this time. In this Discord, Fenrave gathered evidence from a few other reporters, including Bippa. Some of these reports were normal, but every single report from Bippa was engineered specifically to benefit himself. Every ban and every report. It was all fictional. Bippa manipulated Fenrave into filing these reports, abusing Fenrave's desire to help the community. Now, Bippa's motivation has always been control. The reason he even went after underage girls, which I'll cover in a bit, was solely because of control. So in this event, I'll be discussing what's happening at the time of Bippa's manipulation of some staff members, including Fenrave. Now, at this time, Bippa became fixated on three people: Tankcha, Sleeping Anarchy, and Biolma. I was aware before I left of his fixation on Biolma, because I was semi-inactive prior to leaving and had negotiated with Biolma on a few terms that would put him on his third strike, so to speak. So, for all of these people, in essence, Bippa just did not like them. Whether they harassed him at some point or not, I am not sure of. But it can be confirmed very easily that he did not like any of these people. So, to showcase his manipulation, I have a few select screenshots from the evidence that Fenrave and Lumpy Cragonian were recently compiling in response to Bippa's 19-page long document. The first one shows that Bippa eventually reached a point where he had such a strong hold on the staff that all he had to do to cast a significant amount of doubt on people he disliked was describing them as shady. There is no evidence here in this screenshot. There is no evidence. All he is doing is listing people that have, interacted with Tankcha. He's listing Tankcha's friends. Now, to my knowledge, none of these people have ever done anything wrong. They're just people that Fenrave does. No, my bad. People that Bippa doesn't like because they associate with Tankcha. Continuing. So, his goal here was to find any little thing against these people to use against them and get them banned. Now, going back to the terms I had negotiated with Bielman, Bippa did not like Bielman. I don't know why, but after I made sure Bielman was on his last strike, Bippa tried his hardest to make sure that he could try and get Bielman banned. Just any way he possibly could. Anything remotely suspicious, Bippa wanted to use against Bielman. Now, Bippa managed to convince everyone else in the Discord that B is a great danger to the community. Pretty ironic looking back on it, considering his current position. And they all get on board with the idea to try to find any tiny reason, as shown here, where Forge and Void Exus are talking of doing the same thing. So, the next screenshot I'm going to show you to showcase his manipulation is that, again, Bippa had no evidence of anything. As a matter of fact, all he says here is that people are leaving a Discord. There's nothing suspicious about that. Obviously, there's another Discord that they're going to. Why Bippa cares? I don't know. Bippa just had some weird fixation with these people at this time. Sadly, By this point, I had gone inactive, so there was nothing I could have personally done about any of this. It is at or around this point in time that Bippa became friends with Quayo. Now, you guys don't really know Quayo, so I'm going to explain how Quayo is. Quayo is a much different person than he is in the text channels. Quayo is a kind person that's generally very aloof and loves having fun. He has a strong sense of justice, but gets stressed out really easily, which isn't even that big of a problem. Bippa took advantage of this, and using his engineered persona that he puts on in his videos and for hanging out with people he befriended him. This is going to be the first major roadblock in finally getting rid of Bippa, because Quayo stands up for his friends. If there's even a chance that his friend is innocent, he'll stand by them, which is very admirable of him, and it makes Bippa a manipulative sociopath. So, in this next screenshot right here, Bippa behind Quayo's back now expresses his true feelings regarding Quayo. As I said earlier, Bippa's actions change based on the audience he is around, but his actions are always self-serving with multiple ulterior motives. Bippa hadn't yet mastered it by this point, but the way Bippa talks and speaks was explicitly engineered to use as many words as possible to say very little when it came to him providing evidence. This is visible easily in the DM transcriptions from him that I'll put in the description, and the MP3 audio file he sent me when he claimed that he could speak easier than he could type. But back to Quayo now. Now, after he became friends with Quayo, he eventually managed to become friends with Osama as well. I was inactive at this point of time, mind you, so my timeline may be a little messed up here, but the point is that he eventually managed to fool Osama as well, which is not an easy feat if you know Osama. Now, being friends with both Quayo and Osama essentially made him immune to anything unless there was 100% irrefutable evidence, something which would be incredibly hard to come by when it came to someone as manipulative as Bipazod. Now, as I'm sure you are aware, I published a table of events recently starting from the time when Bippa confessed to me privately that he had made mistakes in the past regarding dating. I'm going to read over that right now just for some context and a preface to this. So, first, when I came back to BM, I had heard from some BMC members that Bippa had done some pretty bad things regarding dating underage women. Now, because of how I am, I contacted Bippa immediately about these directly. Now, Bippa tells Zella, because at this point in time Zella and Bippa are currently best friends, and Zella contacts me to explain why Bippa was so stressed out. Bippa, in our conversation, admits that he was guilty of the accusations regarding younger people, but only out of desperation, supposedly. His friend Zella agrees with this when presented with it and said that he told him the same thing, that he needed a break. This occurs in that Imgur album that I'm going to put in the description of this video. After this conversation with Pippa, I learned about the Akira issue in a group chat as created by Zella, if I remember correctly, to determine what really happened and how grievous it actually was. Zella and I reached the same conclusion on the matter, and the DM is deleted by someone somehow, or so I thought. Both of these described events happen in that Imgur album up there. After that investigation group chat, nothing really happens for a few months. Bippa blocks me or something for some reason, or maybe I just had the wrong username. Doesn't really matter. Bippa releases his document. I do not care about 90% of the stuff in it. I notice, however, that regarding the Akira situation, Bippa has selectively procured and doctored screenshots to support the claim that nothing ever happened. There is also a doctored screenshot of his personal admission to me that he had made gross mistakes in the past, wherein he claims he did not know what he was agreeing to in it. Now, after that, I released my counter document, concluding that the only reason Bippa would deny the past and the fact that he vowed to change would be that he assumed nobody else had any evidence to contest his claims anymore, as if he had no remorse, no intention of change, and sought only to scrub any rumors from existence. Bippa DM'd me super panicky and communicates in a very odd manner, wherein he writes a lot but says very little. I maintain my points and ask what his motives were, but that question is dodged, and DMs end with him asking me multiple times to take back what I said publicly. Now, I'll post this transcription of our DMs in the description of this video as well. So, starting from when I regained activity, which was about 2 years ago, I'm not quite sure, I immediately heard reports that Bippa was a horrible person. I personally confronted him about this, and this resulted in the infamous screenshots I'm sure you've all seen, and you can also find those in the description. In response, I told him that it was good he was remorseful, but that this could not go unpunished. However, that remorse he showed subtly dissolved once the actual trial began regarding Akira. Skipping over to that trial now, Bippa fought tooth and nail to try and prove that he and Akira had been in a consensually, morally righteous relationship. Obviously, Akira was a victim of manipulation and agreed. However, I'm not very dumb, and when they posted their IDs to verify their ages, it was immediately apparent that Bippa and her had a gross age gap. Akira would have been about 14 years old at this time, and Bippa would have been 19. Based on Bippa's then known history of e-sex, it was obvious that this was not okay. Upon this being pointed out, Bippa and Akira immediately stopped talking in the chat, and for pictures of that, please refer to the description of this video in the aforementioned Imgur album. Now, for any other member of the community, this combined with his supposed remorse that went out the window when he realized he was in jeopardy of being banned would have been more than enough to keep him banned. However, Bippa had already laid the groundwork of a powerful tie between him and Quayo along with Osama. So this was not going to be sufficient when the two bosses of BM were direct character witnesses for Bipazod, claiming that he had no doubt changed. So, after the Akira investigation, I was forced to remain silent for a while and pretend that I was neutral in the situation, though my conclusion had already long been since formed. I distanced myself from my former friends that were unable to see the truth about Bippa to maintain a mainly professional relationship until this could be resolved, as I was more than a bit miffed with how oblivious Quayo, Osama, and Zello were being regarding Bippa's true self. But when Voidexis messaged me with yet another false alarm, I had an idea. Voidexis told me that Darker Memories and Bipazod were dating. Obviously, this was not a provable thesis at this point in time, but it did give me an idea. I told Zella to convey a message of solidarity to Bippa, that I believed in him, and he would not be banned. This was purposely to lure Bipazod into a sense of false victory. It was meant to put him in his endgame mindset, where he perceived that he would finally be able to push everything under the rug. After this message had been received, I began working with the user you guys may be familiar with, Savio. Savio wanted to make a catfish underage girl account to see if Bippa would be attracted to it. I engineered the dialogue, and Savio executed the dialogue I provided once we both agreed on it. This would have eventually succeeded, given the success of it can be seen here. This is the Discord Savio and I used to collaborate. So, mind you, we told Bippa off the bat that this girl, quote unquote, was 15 years old. Now, out of his many hundreds of fans, why would Bippa pick this one person out to begin speaking to? Well, because they were 15, and he thought they were vulnerable, because that's how we engineered the persona to appear. Anyway, but that catfishing did not work, because Savio boasting about it publicly was found out. Now, I knew that it would either end up like this because of Savio's personality, or it would end up with Bippa being proved a pedophile due to the amount of success the account was having. After Bippa found out about the catfish account, he was pissed, which I predicted. I knew that since Bippa liked control, he was going to attempt to banish all allegations of him in general, as they were surfacing recently due to me purposely sending public messages regarding Bippa that I knew would get back to him through his friends. I mean victims. As predicted, Bippa lashed out. He released that 19-page long document detailing all of the bullshit he had put up with. But it had turned out that my engineering had bore more fruit than I anticipated. Bippa, in his arrogance during this victory lap, had thought that because of my message of solidarity, that I had no evidence to counter any claim he could possibly put forward in his document. So he attempted to claim that everything I concluded regarding Akira and the confession he provided me in DMs was a lie. And by selectively taking screenshots and making skewed commentaries on them, he tried to prove as much. However, as he should have known, I keep detailed files on all people I deem a threat, and I had what I needed to put Bippa into panic mode. This evidence I'm referencing here can be found in my document known as Why Would Bippa Lie About Things That Were Good for Him? But the gist of it is that by my selectively only releasing conclusions that Bippa had 1. Confessed to me about past mistakes, and 2. That the Akira situation was an act of grooming pedophilia, I was able to then conclude based off of his denial that he had no remorse for his past actions, and he was likely still engaging in them. This immediately freaked Bipazod out, and you would need to read the full document to understand, which is why I linked it in the description. So, for the next 2 days after the release of my document, Bippa was in a panic. He was frantically DMing me in a manipulative fashion trying to get me to take my document back. A transcription of these DMs can also be found in the description of this video. But I reasserted my points while he attempted to skirt around them, effectively putting us at an impasse. Now, through all of this, I was expecting to be DM'd by Zella with a message saying that I had stepped too far. But as days passed since my release of the document and Zella had not DM'd me, I was more and more convinced that Zella, or at least other people, had found my document to have a valid point. So now we were stuck. Bippa furiously denying everything but his true nature being exposed clearly for the first time, and my inability to be fooled by him. Then Zella came forward. Now, I want you guys to know that Zella is not an idiot. Zella is a very smart man, and I would go as far as to say that we were similar in intelligence, except he was vastly more approachable and fun to be around. Zella came forward to me off a promise he made nearly a full year ago, wherein he promised that if he were to ever find evidence that Bipazod was a pedophile, he would tell me immediately. From here, the rest is covered in my video I released last night. Shortly after I released my video, however, he released a goodbye video. We're gonna go ahead and watch that now.
With all the evidence and things like that, but yeah, it is how it is now. But in a sense, with the channel, it's pretty much done. I'm not gonna lie, for a good amount of the time, none of this was actually really relevant until now, like in a sense of it. When I say that, I mean like the actions that were like done, they were not forgivable. That's one thing for sure. It's not easily forgivable. I made a mistake, or at least a few mistakes in a sense like that, and I understand that. So I get if you want to unsub or just hate me, pretty much anything above the, average of like despising me. What I've done is just really bad. Like, almost beyond that bad in a sense like that. So what does this mean? This means this is pretty much over. I do want to say I am actually truly sorry for everyone that I have wronged in the sense, especially the people that were involved directly with the issue. And the people that I call friends, I'm really sorry that this event has happened, and due to me making the worst mistake ever that we'll ever be making on this platform, and this will be the last time too. I'm just sorry that this had to pretty much end this way. As bad as things are, I did want you.
Now, we only have to watch the first minute and 31 seconds of this because all he does is say the same thing with different words. So, in this video, he's trying to pass this off as a one-off event, but that's really not the case. If you compare his voice in this video and what he says to the MP3 audio file that I'll link below, he's really just trying to convince people that what he did was not actually how it's portrayed. He's trying to convince people that he would never do that again and that it was a one-time mistake rather than that he's a predatory person, which is the objective truth, as we now know. I wanted to let the community know that this is not a one-off event. Bippa has been a manipulative, predatory sociopath for his entire career in the black magic community, and likely any other community he has ever been a part of. To end this video, I need to say this. Zella, Quayo, Osama, Darker, Fenreeve, and everyone else that advocates strongly for Bippa at any point in time or believed in them fully is a victim. They are not a clown. They are a victim of a dangerous predator that preyed upon them to further benefit himself. As far as they knew, this was a solid man being targeted for no reason. I ask of you all that you take that into account and that you do not bear any ill will to them regarding this because they are victims. Thanks for listening.